In this video, we discuss the 7 favorite ways retirees like to spend extra money. Coming up next on Holy Schmidt.
Holy Schmidt!
Most retirees live on a fixed budget, so extra money, often called fun money, is rarer than hen's teeth for some of them. So when we polled retirees and asked them how they like to spend their extra money, we knew we would get quite a thoughtful list. With over 100 written responses and over 200 votes, we got a very clear picture of how retirees like to spend their extra cash. There were 7 clear categories that came up again and again. We'll go through these next from least to most voted in that order. Stick around to the end because after we go through the 7, we're going to go through rapid fire 7 more that we call the honorable mentions. Those are the ones that were only mentioned or voted on once or maybe twice, but we think should have been much higher on the list. Before we begin, one small request from me. At the end of the video, if you like the video, will you kindly consider sharing it with someone who you think might also like the video? We want to help as many people as possible. It's the one that looks like the swoosh arrow, and you can send it to someone via text, email, or by social media. All right, let's go. Retirees' 7 favorite ways to spend extra money, from number 7 all the way straight through to number 1. The least popular of the top 7 is eating out. Now, this was a little surprising to us because, let's be honest, we all eat out, some more than others. Aside from the obvious, a person needs to eat. It is a way to stay social, and frankly, many retirees, this is their only form of social interaction. Still, we have to call it like we see it, and the numbers are the numbers, and this is number 7. Number 6 was helping others in financial need, with the big category of charity being the top of the list. Now, many people donate funds, but they also donate their time to charity, and frankly, donating your time costs money as well, because you have to get there somehow, and that's either via your car, which means you have to pay for fuel, or some form of public transportation, or both. There's also the opportunity cost of not using that time towards something that can produce income. Along those same lines are supporting local groups like the Little League, for example, buying uniforms and equipment, purchasing items for an auction, or donating money to help refurbish a park, theater, or building that serves a broader community purpose. If you've ever walked or driven down the street and you saw someone's name stenciled on a park bench, engraved in a brick on the sidewalk, or on a wall, there's a good chance that they donated their funds to help refurbish something in that area. The final category is simply direct financial assistance to those that can't help themselves. Everybody does it in a different way. Some do it through a charity, others do it specifically to individuals or groups that need the funds. For me, I wrote a book called The Busy Adult's Guide to Making College Happen. You might see the cover on the wall behind me. That book is geared towards helping people that are working full-time also complete a degree, pretty much full-time while they're working. I donate the royalties from that book to help single mother scholarships. That way I can help people help themselves. Next up is using your extra funds to learn something new. The number 1 area was cooking, by the way, either learning how to cook a new meal or an entirely new category like Mediterranean cooking, or learning how to cook, period. That type of individual might be someone who looks very similar to me. On the other end is learning something of interest like art or music. One of my favorite, by the way, is a series of classes taught at Northwestern University. This is where I went and got my MBA from the Kellogg School at Northwestern. Northwestern also offers non-degree classes for those that want to learn something new. They have a category for non-degree students called Learning How to Read the New York Times, and the other is Learning How to Read the Wall Street Journal. Talk about off-the-charts interest level. The class was dominated by retirees, and for good reason. Staying current not only is good for your mind, but it's also good for your wallet in many cases. The next voted on category was spending extra money on investments. Now, when someone asks the question, what do you like to spend your extra money on? That's sort of like asking the question, what is your absolute favorite food? You kind of expect an answer like a cheeseburger, apple pie a la mode, or birthday cake, not bean sprouts. It kind of made me wonder if we asked the question wrong. Spending and investing are opposites. Spending means you go out and you buy stuff. Investing means you put money away so that you can buy stuff later. Still, technically, you can spend money on stocks, bonds, or mutual funds, and who am I to judge? Number 3, spending extra money on giving gifts. There's nothing better than the look on a grandchild's face when you surprise them with a gift. I still remember one that I received when we were living in Hawaii when I was 7 or 8 years old. My grandmother came in to visit, and she gave me one of the Hawaiian tiki gods as a gift. We all gathered around to talk. She sat down, opened her suitcase, and pulled out a tiki god for each one of us. Even though I had been in Hawaii for a few years, because my father had been stationed there at that point, I think 3 years, none of us had a Hawaiian tiki god. I had never actually seen one. It probably cost all of about $2 at the time for her to purchase it, and I still remember it to this day. It was that special. The thing about giving gifts is that it doesn't have to cost a lot of money to give a gift, and the reaction is priceless if they don't know it's coming. Number 2, spending money on hobbies. Now this one makes total sense because, frankly, in retirement you have a lot of extra time, and what better way to fill time than with hobbies? Hobbies can be extremely reasonable financially, like modeling, building ships, tanks, airplanes, etc., or very costly, like rare coin collecting or even boating. The point is, there's a hobby out there for everyone, from the most frugal to the most extravagant. The top response under hobbies, by the way, was gardening, with a full 50% of the respondents saying that they liked to garden. Golf was a distant number 2, and fishing was a distant number 3. One respondent talked about buying a boat and doing something called the Great Loop. They're often called loopers, the people who do the Great Loop, and then selling the boat at the end. For those who don't know what the Great Loop is, it's circumnavigating the eastern part of the United States and Canada. People have done it in as fast as 6 weeks or as long as 12 years, at least that's what I've read. I also read that the average is about a year, so it is one particular activity that will take some time. Number 1 is that people spend extra money on travel, which makes sense, of course, as the number 1 category. People often dream of traveling to exotic places when they're young, but they don't have the time or the money. So when they retire, many have both. This is why when you look at someone's bucket list, a full 50% in most cases include places like going to the Great Wall of China, the Great Barrier Reef, or some other exotic place like Antarctica. In other words, not heading down to Miami for a long weekend. Not that there was anything wrong with that. Now, rapid fire. There were 7 more that didn't make the top 7, but we think should have. First, spending money on pets. Outside of computer chips, hand sanitizer, and for some strange reason, toilet paper, there was a high demand for pets during our lockdowns. This makes sense given that social interaction was limited during at least 1, if not 2 years for most people. We would have thought this would make the top 7 because retirees as a group are a pretty large demographic of pet owners as a starting point. Add to the fact that retirees couldn't see friends or family for a long period of time, those pets would just be entering early adulthood at this point. The next category was spending money on entertainment outside of dining out. There was no mention of movies, plays, or going to baseball or football games. Next was self-care, like a massage, a health club membership, or a day spa. This is the time of life when retirees really do need to take care of themselves, and some of the things that they couldn't afford before, potentially anyway, they can afford now with a little bit of extra money. The next category, one that was mentioned only once but we thought was pretty smart, was spending money on little indulgences. While we don't know what little indulgences mean, we do know that it makes a great category, and if you can't spend money on little indulgences when you're retired, when can you spend money on little indulgences? The next category, perhaps a little more gender specific, is spending extra money on tools. The fact is, I don't know a tool owner that doesn't mind updating their drill every now and again. The next one, which we found really funny, was that retirees like to spend their extra money slowly. Slowly. How do you spend your extra money? Slowly. You get the point. If you like this video, check out that video. Retirees spend 80% of their extra money in these 5 areas. That video has well over 1 million views to date. Also, don't forget to share this video with someone you think might enjoy it using the share button below. This is Jeff Schmidt. Thanks for watching.